One more example. Let's have a look at one more sketch. So let's start off with our x and y intercepts. So x-intercept is when y equals 0. 0 equals 3 minus 5 times e to the 3x. Take 3 from both sides. Divide both sides by -5. Take the natural logarithm of both sides. The natural log cancels with e, and we're left with the natural log of 3/5 is equal to 3x. Divide both sides by 3 and we're finished. Therefore, our y-intercept is going to be the natural log of 3 on 5 on 3, 0. Question is this positive or negative? And you might look at it and say, well, there's no negative sign, so why would it ever be negative? The reason it could be negative is that logarithms can be negative. You can't put a negative into a logarithm, but you can get a negative out of a logarithm. And I'd like you to think about an example like this. If I say 2 to the something equals 1 on 16, or 1 on 2 to the 4, well, 2 to the x is equal to 2 to the -4 by the negative rule. And if I take the not the lateral log, but the log base 2 of both sides here, you'll see that x would be equal to -4. So logarithms can output negative numbers, and especially they do it when they're smaller than the base. So the question is 3 on 2 smaller than e, right? Because natural log is just log base e. Is 3 on 5 less than e? And the answer is yes, because e is about 2.7. So this is going to be negative. So this is negative something 0. So on our axes, when we draw it, we're going to draw it to the left. It's going to be about here. Alrighty. So let's do the rest of our business. So back to the top. Y-int is going to be when x equals 0, y is equal to 3 minus 5 times e to the 3 times 0. Y is equal to 3 minus 5 times e to the 0, which is just 1. 5 times 1 is just 5, and 3 minus 5 is -2. And so we get our y-intercept is 0, -2. Let's move on. Asymptote time. So the asymptote is going to be y is equal to whatever the constant is out the front, 3. Now, before we go to sketching, because we're very close to sketching, I want you to just take 1 second and think, has there been a reflection? Why? Because reflections is the thing that is going to get us. And you should see immediately that we've got a negative there. It's a multiplicative negative, and a multiplicative negative almost always means some kind of reflection. So in this case, which axis is it reflecting on? It is reflecting on the x-axis. Now this is the one I failed to draw last time, so here is the x-axis reflection. If we start with a function that looks like that, then when we reflect it on the x-axis, it's going to look something like that, what we could call a vertical flip. Alrighty, so there is our reflection. So it's going to look something like this, but its asymptote is going to be at -3. So I've already drawn my axes down here. Let's use this one. So I've already put in one of my intercepts, so let's put in the rest of my information. So asymptote is at 3, y equals 3. I've already put in my x-intercept, which was ln of 3/5 over 3, 0. My y-intercept is going to be -2. And the shape, remember, reflection becomes so it's going to be this sort of shape. Perfectly, it's going to fit. It's going to start at the asymptote, come down, pass through our 2 intercepts, and go off to -infinity. Alrighty, so that is my sketch. It's a little bit ugly, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm still having trouble getting really nice looking exponential curves. Alrighty, but now that we're up to this point, let's do the domain and range just to finish off. Always good practice. So, what's the domain? Well, the domain, as with pretty much all exponential functions, and it should be the case, is that it is just the real numbers. See the previous video if you want to look at different ways of writing that. For the range, on the other hand, there is a restriction. The asymptote is that restriction. In this case, it's an upper bound. Why? Because numbers below this line are fine, but numbers above the line are never going to happen. Nothing above the line. So, it's actually an upper bound, which means we could write it as y is in the set of negative infinity up to 3, not including, or we could write that as y must be less than 3, and if you'd like you could put bigger than negative infinity if you wanted, but totally optional. Alrighty, so we've now had a look at 3 different examples of sketching. Good luck sketching yourself. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.